Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel and today I am doing a trailer analysis for StarCraft 2. The trailer premiered at Blizzcon 2013. It's the first trailer we see since the expansion pack, and this one is for the second expansion. Obviously, the Legacy of the Void. Let's dissect it, shall we? First we see Zeratul. This shot shows him in one of the previous CGI trailers, I believe? Or maybe it was a movie from StarCraft 2. Moment later we see him in a new setting. As far as I know, this one looks slightly different than what we saw up till this point. It's a Xel'Naga temple, at least I suggest that. We saw some of this in the expansion number 1, the similar situation. Moment later we see Zerg pictograms. It's quite obvious we see here Zerglings and Hydralisks. Moment later, Artanis, the lead character for the expansion, Legacy of the Void, in a typical Protoss armor. Important to notice, he has warp blades. He activates the warp blade in his right hand. Moment later we see the same pictograms, but this time showing the Protoss. Then we see Artanis fighting. I think he's fighting the Zergs. Important thing to see here are the blades again. He's the first one to show Protoss blades with different lights. Blue light and green light of the blade. This suggests that he is able to combine and use these two powers. For all of you who don't know, the green blades are powered by the energies of the void, while the blue ones are powered by the Kala. I think I said that right. These powers are the general opposition that in the StarCraft, the first game, marked the primal distinction between the Protoss tribes. Artanis then uses his psionic powers. It seems very effective. Protoss forces are ready to take, or I should rather say retake Aiur, the home planet of the race, lost in the last campaign of the basic game. Then Artanis and Selendis, we met her in the Wings of Liberty campaign, I presume, standing most possibly as well before the Great Fleet attacks Aiur, or tries to retake Aiur. Moment later we have the pictograms again, showing the inevitable confrontation of the Zerg and the Protoss. Above those two pictograms we see a Xel'Naga symbol, suggesting that the Great Experiment is still in motion and was designed millennia ago, and it's still working. Protoss-Zerg hybrid fighting Kerrigan, Artanis confronted by Kerrigan. A lot of narration here, important I believe, and still not quite clear. Moment later we see Protoss forces warping into the battle. Judging from the composition of the frame, this looks like the invasion on Aiur that I mentioned before. Next point is quite an intriguing one. We hear the name Amon, the name of the series antagonist. He is called the Fallen Xel'Naga. Zeratul facing an unknown Protoss, or I think it's a Protoss, but it might be also a hybrid. I doubt that it's a Xel'Naga. Moment later, an exploding planet suggests a powerful use of force in combination with Terrans in tragic situations. This montage is a moment later. It makes a grim ordeal for any Terran players or Terran fans. Moment later, we see Zergs attacking Artanis. Selendis activating her warp blade. One good observation here, as you can see, she has 2 blue blades. That means she is not a master of the void energies, which are considered to be more difficult to control. Then we have more Protoss forces going into battle. These are Zealots in general. Then Zeratul attacking an unidentified Protoss. It might be that Protoss hybrid he fought before. Oh, that's a speculation on my part. A moment later, Kerrigan fighting the hybrid again, which, by the way, hybrids are important because they are the tools used by Amon, the antagonist. Then we have Artanis killing a bunch of Zergs, Matt Horner and Prince Valerian Manx exchanging glances. Those characters, I'm quite sure, are really important because as much as Terrans are divided, it's hard to say where the actual power now lies. Is it with Raynor or is it with Prince Valerian, who most possibly exchanges his father, by the way, spoiler alert, died in the last expansion. And finally we see Jim Raynor fighting, or at least, yeah, he's in the trailer, briefly, but remember, he already had his 5 minutes in this trilogy. A moment later, Kerrigan and Artanis, closing the trailer actually, looks interesting. I'm quite sure these two characters, she and he, they hate each other, more or less. They will be important. And finally, after all this very intense trailer, we have Zeratul activating his warp blade. Yeah, that's a green color warp blade, typical for a Dark Templar. A lot of narration in this trailer, a lot of nuances. I haven't actually seen any Easter eggs or hidden messages or hidden details. Maybe I've missed something, I'm not sure. But in general, this is the one that I've been waiting for. I'm a Protoss fan, more or less, when it comes to StarCraft. I really want to play this game. Watch the trailer again, and Blizzard, as always, gave us something interesting to look forward to. Thank you for your time. I pointed out one or two things you might have missed, and this material was productive for you. Want to see more? Feel free to subscribe. I do these types of analysis from time to time. And generally, that's all for me today. Thank you for your time. See you next time.